Okay, so I just had a realization not that long ago that I feel like it's pretty important for anyone who's like wanting to sort of, I guess, understand kind of like the same thing that I've been struggling with as of recently, and I feel like it's pretty important. Um, and I thought I would kind of like record this like quick vid or whatever. Whoever sees this, I hope that like helps in a way. But confidence and feeling good about yourself, essentially, that I feel like we all crave that feeling for feeling important, feeling like we're useful for something. And it kind of comes in different waves. I feel like when it comes to like, we all kind of crave that feeling of importance in like different ways. Whether it's something small, such as like being told like, oh, you look good today, or oh, you have a nice like shirt today, to like being like, I don't know, like the greatest athlete in the world or the most famous person in the world. you know you have like a lot of followers, or oh, you have like, a lot of girls, stuff like that. It's like we all kind of crave these like feelings of, feeling important. Like we all crave that feeling, and so we're gonna get in all these different like ultimatums, whether it's like external factors or feeling that way about yourself. You know what I mean? We all kind of crave that feeling. And I feel like the reason why we stick to a lot of external factors to feel like confident or feel like great, good about yourself, it mostly stems for the feeling of like almost like filling a void. It's hard for me to really kind of like put my words together, and I've been having trouble like finding words or remembering things recently. I'm not necessarily the most like proudest about that, but we look to these external factors for feeling confident because it's like the most accessible thing. We've been taught to make sure that people like us, make sure that people can appreciate us, or whatever the case may be. And like we were taught that. We were never really taught to learn to like deal with things ourselves and to understand ourselves. We were taught kind of like to learn about other things and things around us. And maybe in a way it's like ultimately we're learning to be good within ourselves through that, but like we've been taught that to seek people's opinions and stuff because of for the sake of like feeling good. We're seeking other people's opinions. We're essentially taught that. So I feel like when it comes down to it, it's like, you know that's why we care about others. Like we were brought up to it since we were like young. You know what I mean? Like your parents are literally like the reason why you're here. Like they have you and they're praising you like, oh my god, you're the sweetest thing ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're already taught to look at other people's like opinions of you or whatever as like a way to feel good about yourself. So when you're going on social media, when you're like logging on Instagram, checking to see if someone like liked your post, responded to a message, if someone texted you, notifications, you want to feel that like spark in your brain, like, oh, like I feel good, like I'm okay, like I'm like good, like someone told me I'm good, so I feel good. You don't necessarily trust that within yourself. You know what I mean? So, and other people, like when other people compliment us, make us feel good. When we get a gift, when we get a like on Instagram, a text, a notification, like we feel that like security, like we feel that like okayness. I feel like even just like looking at our phones, we're meant to sort of like look at it to feel like something is happening, from another point of view, if that makes sense. So And I feel like I've struggled with that. I've had a lot of bouts of situations where I'm seeking external validation, I'm seeking other people's approval. I struggle with that a lot all my life, and I've recently matured as of the last like 3 years. Um, Specifically in the last, I'd say maybe like year, because I feel as I've like ventured into college and stuff like that, I've learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about like who I am and like what I like and what I don't like. I ventured a lot into understanding the world around me and where I fit in, and how I place myself within that like spectrum. So it's been a lot of that in the past year for me, and I feel like it's really taught me a lot over the past year. But I feel like in different ways, like I've seeked that feeling of like feeling like I'm okay and like feeling like I'm worthy. You know what I mean? And as of recently, though, like I feel I haven't really been like feeling like the best, specifically in the last 3 days. I don't know if you guys like remember from the last video I recorded, but I mentioned I was in Barbados. And I'm not gonna get too into specifics for the sake of this video, but there was like things that I feel like were kind of like distractions that were leading me to have this feeling of like, oh, I want to go on Instagram, oh, I want to do this and that to feel okay. And I feel like even like before then, it was like I was wanting to care about others, or not even that, like care about like things outside me in a way that was like different compared to the way that I'm thinking about during vacation, which is different to how I'm thinking about it now. But I feel like a lot of these things compounded to worrying about one thing to the next. And ultimately it just led me to not feel like good about myself, not feel great about myself, not feel worthy about myself. And that's what I've been feeling recently. I've been feeling like I've noticed a lot that I've been like depending on Instagram to make me feel better. Like there was a time where I woke up. It was like the day after I came back. I didn't get much sleep at all because I was very hungry the night before, and I ate like a big burrito, and like I got full, and I ended up staying up asleep or whatever. And I woke up like really irritated because I only slept like maybe like 4 hours, 5 hours. So like I was like really tired, and it caused me to like go on Instagram. Mind you, I had like a physics class, so it caused me to go on Instagram and like check up a little bit because I was curious. I was on Instagram the previous time and like TikTok or whatever, right? For different reasons. But then it led me to want to go on Instagram again, and then it led me to go on Instagram and again and again and again, and it's like that's when it was like really like like bad, because then I was like starting to look at like girls and like other content to like fill this void, and it sucked. And a whole bunch of other things I'm not gonna get into detail of, but you know what I mean. I just noticed I've had these like little feelings of like insecurity, like you know what I mean, like even today, like I was like having this like weird feeling when I went to this parade today, that I don't feel important, that nobody's like going up to me, nobody's like saying something to me. Like I just felt weird, and it's just I was feeling a lot of that. But I can say this, and I don't mean to take it into like a religious standpoint, but I remember like feeling like literally like not even like 20 minutes ago I was feeling like lost. It's funny because I was having like all these people like telling me like, oh, just feel good about yourself, or not even like in a way that was like pandering, but it was more like signs of like being told like, hey, like make sure to feel good about yourself, like make sure to feel like you're good, you know. And I feel like because of that, um, I still kind of felt like I wasn't feeling that like intrinsically. But it wasn't until I decided to like literally like pray to God, you know. I prayed to Him and I told Him like, hey, like I'm not doing too well, and I just wanted to give this to you, God, because I know that you're one to handle everything. You know what I mean? Like I know that you have the power to make everything like better, you know. And when I did that, I felt this like weird feeling of like reassurance again. This feeling of like knowing that I have everything figured out. You know what I mean? Like it was weird, but literally through praying, I felt like assured again. You know? And I'm not gonna go too diverse into like, religion and stuff, but what I do want to say is that I feel like, at least to give my perspective, when I was praying, I felt like me giving out all my issues and all my prayers to God made me believe that things were well. Knowing that I was giving everything to someone else and that I was believing that, like, there's faith that I'm going to be all good and stuff like that. Like, that's what I got from praying to God, you know what I mean? Because it helped me to sort of just realize, that I don't need to have everything figured out. I don't need to control everything. I'm going to just let Him do what He does. Like, I'm going to let God handle everything the way that He does. And I feel like it helps to really understand, and that's why I feel like it's the true thing about confidence. You have to just allow things to just be what it is. I feel like when it comes to everything that happens in life, blessings, especially blessings, I feel like they kind of come when you don't really think about it. They come when you're in the path of those blessings, when you're working towards those blessings, when you're in the process of those blessings. And you're just allowing things to just happen, You're not really looking for things to happen. You're not really looking for other people to make you feel good. You know that it's going to happen. And even when there is a failure, you're sitting with it and you're okay with it. And you're willing to let it be what it is. You know what I mean? I feel like even in those times of like when things are tough, it's like you're allowing yourself to know that it's going to work out, like I don't even know really how to like say it, but I feel like when you have that belief that everything is working out, even when you're going through a failure, you decide to look at it as a positive. You know that this isn't going to be temporary. You know that this isn't going to be something that lasts, and you allow it to happen, and so something good happens like after it, you know what I mean? I feel like that's when you have confidence unlocked. It's just knowing that things will work out, and you don't necessarily need to control everything. You're allowing the universe, God, whatever higher being, whatever the case may be, something that's out of our control. You're allowing it to play out the way that it does, and you're just doing what you're doing. You're learning the lessons from the failures, and you're believing in yourself, and you know who you are, and you know what you're capable of. So I feel like with that, that's when you have confidence. And that's what I feel is the key to confidence. And I thought I would share that. I hope that that's something that you guys can appreciate that I made a video on. Video is long, but fuck it. Whoever wants to watch it can watch it. You know what I mean? And, yeah, just wanted to kind of give that sort of reassurance. Appreciate anybody who watches this, likes it, whatever, and yeah, see ya.